As you have seen, I'm joined by Jennifer McMillan, who is our resident expert for the inventor titles and a regular presenter at Autodesk University as well. She'll review the 2023 roadmap and highlight our recent and our future releases for 2023. So ASCENT, just to give you a quick background for those of you who may not be as familiar with us, is an Autodesk content partner, and we have been so for over 25 years, and we've been part of the authorized publisher program with Autodesk since 2010 when it was instituted. So for us to participate in the program, we must meet a strict set of requirements set by Autodesk, which are includes minimum volume of published content, adherence to some learning objectives, and specific and technical quality requirements. Our relationship with Autodesk gives us early access to the beta software so we can review the changes that are going to affect our learning guides, and then our team begins the update process as early as possible so that the introductory level titles are published as soon as close to the release of the software as possible. So over the years, we've invested in our team of dedicated developers and writers to expand our offerings and address the business needs of our customers worldwide. And this list just gives you a quick overview of the software focus for our current and upcoming courseware titles. Prior to the release of the software, we review our entire library of titles, and we work out a plan for updating and releasing each of those. And that's over 60 titles, so as you can imagine, that takes us a good bit of time and some good planning to get that organized and get it to you in a timely manner. We like to also add titles when possible to provide you with a more complete solution to your training needs. So customer feedback is certainly taken into account when we were looking at what to add, and so we really do appreciate your comments. You can quickly locate the new 2023 courseware roadmap, and it's also a price list from our homepage of the website at ascented.com. And as you can see here on the map, or on the graphic rather, where to quickly locate that. In most instances, that the pricing that's on that roadmap will also apply to older versions as well. So it's a good quick reference for the titles list, pricing, as well as the different formats that are available. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to tell you more about the new titles that are coming our way.
Great, thank you so much, Rhonda. So what I want to do over the next coming slides are basically talk about the different categories of products that we have. So I'm going to start off with kind of our general design, and this really is based around our AutoCAD suite of products and any of the AutoCAD-based software. So the only one it doesn't include is Civil 3D, and I'll take that up as a separate title. So all of these titles are developed by our subject matter expert, Renu Muthu, and she has kind of given me a nice update of all of this content. So as many of you are aware, Autodesk has really undergone a whole brand update in the last year. So really one of the biggest changes you're going to see across all of our books is the fact that we had to update images to reflect this new branding. This has been done throughout our guides to help maintain consistency with what the learners are actually going to see when they're working in the software. In terms of AutoCAD Fundamentals and Advanced, there were really no significant software changes, but we have included some information on floating drawing windows, as well as enhancements to the Start tab, among some other enhancements as well. As you can see here, all of our AutoCAD mixed releases and metric releases at the Fundamentals and Advanced level have been released. The next one on the list, excuse me. The next one on the list is AutoCAD 3D, and this actually will be released later next week. So it is with our editors right now for some last polishing, and they will send it to the printers very shortly. With this course, there again wasn't a lot of functionality changes, so it really gave Renu an opportunity to take a little time and add some additional notes in the margins for some of the exercises, just to provide a little further explanation and guidance for some of the steps. One book you'll see is missing from this list this year is there will not be an update course released for AutoCAD. And this is really consistent with the fact that there really wasn't a lot of functionality changes and certainly wasn't enough to fill an entire guide. And then finally, the last two books that Renew also works on at the bottom of this list are the electrical and the plant design guides. We haven't looked at these books too much yet in terms of what the impact of change will be, but you can see here that we do have them on the schedule, pretty consistent to what we've done in past years. With this or any of our guides, as we release major changes to the books, we like to publish blog posts. So certainly take a peek at our blog post list over the next coming months, as it will give a lot of really helpful information to you and to the instructors as they prepare. In the next course here, this again is one that Renew works on, and this is really the one title for the visualization projects that we have, that being 3ds Max. With this, this is the next book that she will be updating. We've done a bit of a brief kind of look at the software, and we can see that, of course, the branding updates will be done. And then there might be some impact to chapters basically 1, 4, and 10. 1 and 4 are more just new functionality changes that will be incorporated. But in chapter 10, we do definitely need to do a little more testing about the impact of this change. We can see that the default material now with the Arnold renderer is now the physical materials. So once we release this guide, again, keep an eye out for a blog, as this may affect some of the exercises and there might be some rewrite required in this chapter. The next series of titles are the inventor titles, and this is actually all the books that I myself work on. And with similar kind of to AutoCAD, the big changes here is with the images. I've had to replace all of the branding changes or any of the dialog boxes that had any branding. I've updated those. But again, the biggest impact to images were due to the changes in the model browser. In all guides now, Autodesk has replaced the default name for model states and view names to be called primary. And this is to follow current trends to avoid any sensitive language in all publications. So this did require every single model browser to be updated. So there was a lot of work there to get that done, but you will have all updated images. All content was also updated to reflect the new home page. So this is basically the home page is where you're going to set your project, you're going to open your files. So this definitely affected how we opened and began all the exercises. So all of those have been updated now to reflect that change. The one software change that I did want to mention was an enhancement to model state functionality. And this is something pretty close to me. I've written a lot of content on this. Last year, I taught an AU class on it. We have some blog posts on model states as well. And one of the big things over the last year that I kept hearing from my students was that they were not happy with the fact that bill of materials didn't accurately represent model states significantly, like primarily where there was a component that was suppressed. What it would do is it would actually show the component as a zero quantity. So this year with 2023 now, Autodesk has made changes to that, and you can actually accurately reflect your bill of materials for each of the model states. I've recently published a blog on this, so you can certainly look at that on our website. One final note again with this is that there is no update class as well. There wasn't, again, significant changes with the software to fill a kind of an entire guide of enhancements. As you can see, there are lots of guides already released. In fact, sheet metal was marked for July, but that is actually available now as well. It just got released prior to me creating this screen grab, so it's now updated as well, and it's available for purchase. So the next one is around our data management solutions. This is all with respect to Vault. Again, branding updates have been made, the new default themes. So there is a new look for Vault, and that theme has been incorporated into some of the guides. So there was a name change as well to the software, one of the tabs, so that's reflected in any of the learning content as well as any of the imagery. Then we also incorporated some new functionality. So there was some stuff in the Vault software that was added. We've now added content to support the new markup functionality for creating and managing markups. And then also regarding the new functionality in Inventor with respect to instance properties. So there's been some content added on that and how you can read the metadata within Vault. And then finally, some enhancements that have been incorporated into Vault Gateway have also been found within Vault, and that'll affect our Vault Professional Essentials Guide as that's released later in the year. So infrastructure and review, building design. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is all of our Revit products. Our subject matter expert for these courses is Cherise Biddulph, and she's been working really hard at getting all of this content updated. As many of you instructors would know, there are a lot of similarities in the initial getting started phase of learning Revit, whether you're using architecture, structure, or MEP. And with the release of 2023, we're really aiming to align the opening chapters in each of these books a little more closely. So to achieve this, what we've done is we've done a bit of a rename on that opening phase of our guide. So we now are going to be calling that Revit Tools and Project Setup, and it will include chapters 1 through 5. And that'll be then the same, consistent across all the fundamental level guides. Cherise Biddulph is going to be moving also, like in those 5 chapters, the core essential Revit topics all into these phases. So we're going to see topics and tools that enable you to create basic models, the interface chapter, starting a project, working with views, Revit families, as well as basic sketching and modification tools will all be in these chapters. One of the topics that we are pulling out of that initial 5 chapters is some content on columns. That is really specific to architecture and structure. So we wanted to move that out of those first opening chapters, that first phase, and that'll be its own chapter for both the architecture and structure guides. So the final kind of 2 phases in all of these guides, which are called design development and construction documents, are remaining unchanged and will be consistent with the content that's available in each of the guides. So architecture, structure, MEP. Specifically in terms of fundamentals for architecture, the data sets did have to be rebuilt for Revit architecture again this year due to some changes that Autodesk made to the analytical data. So unfortunately, that has taken us a considerable time to rebuild those data sets. So that is why we're a little delayed with getting these guides out. These guides are available as of today, so you should be able to find these. If not right now, by the end of the day, they will be live on our website. In terms of Revit architecture, there were a few things that Cherise has added in terms of new functionality. Measuring in 3D has been incorporated, which I know a lot of people would be excited about. New element selection features, new features as well for linking and importing CAD files. And there were some nice sheet features that also were incorporated with 2023, and we've added that content directly into our guide. So as you can see on this list, Cherise does have a large number of courses in her portfolio, and she will be continuing to update these throughout the remainder of the year. Again, stay focused on our blog posts for any kind of considerable changes to any of these releases as they come out. And then finally, the last category here is the infrastructure and review category. And these titles are all written by our developer, Jeff Morris. And so he's given me a really great update of this as well. So like other guides I've mentioned already, all the images and Autodesk branding have been updated throughout Civil. But the big change in our transition is going to be how we're going to be moving Civil 3D fundamentals into 2 separate courses called Essentials and Beyond the Basics. So over the last number of years, we've been incorporating more and more content into these books, and what was a 4-day class has just really become too jam-packed with material. We've been receiving a lot of feedback from customers that were teaching it already as a 5-day class, or that really instructors had to skip so much material to complete it in 4 days. And then the other bigger driver on this change is that some of the content in the chapters as they existed were too mixed with both fundamental and more advanced topics. So what we were getting was a lot of feedback that this was really overwhelming to students. They had just learned the new content and then moved to advanced content within the same chapter too quickly. So our plan for this guide will still be this year to have a fundamentals guide available that is recommended to be taught at 5 days worth of material, as we do know that schools and our ATC partners just might not be able to adjust to this big structure change that quickly. But for those of you that are a little bit more agile enough to roll out 2023 in this new split format, we certainly hope you like it. As Rhonda mentioned at the beginning of the webcast, we certainly appreciate feedback, and this is really what drove this change. So certainly keep us posted on how you like it. In terms of the split and how we're breaking this up, you can see here I've kind of listed the titles or the objectives and chapters in each of these books. So overall in fundamentals, all of this content is included together. The first 10 chapters will be focused on the essential skills that users are going to need, and then those final chapters, which are listed under the Beyond the Basics, will really take it to the next level once students are really comfortable with the basics. So once this course is released, Jeff will post a blog on our ASCENT website to give more details. So it's definitely something that you'll want to mention to your trainers. Or if you're a trainer, definitely check it out. Trainers will definitely need time preparing to teach this new layout, as there's new content, layout, as well as differences in some of the content and exercises. So definitely need to prepare to teach this class. And then the last books from Jeff are kind of 2 more slides. The other Civil 3D books, Survey, Land Developers, Vehicle Tracking, all of those are coming in the next couple months, and we're not anticipating too many major changes to these, other than, of course, the branding, graphic changes, and ensuring that all the commands work correctly. In terms of grading optimization, this book right now, as released, the software has not changed at all. So we're not going to release that book until later in the fall, where we anticipate maybe with the dot release, which is 2023.1, that maybe some additional changes might be coming. So we'll look to update that book a little later in the year. And then InfraWorks and Navisworks, again, the final books for Jeff. We haven't looked too much at what the changes are for these guides. However, we do know there's not going to be a ton of functionality changes. With InfraWorks, we do expect to be updating some content on managing Civil 3D corridors. So we'll definitely be expanding on that and enhancing that. But other than that, it looks like it's a lot of imagery in terms of branding and those types of changes. So I hope that gives you a good rundown of the different titles. Certainly feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions. So with that, I want to hand you back over to Rhonda.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer, on all those updates for the new titles that are coming. I'm just going to quickly cover our formats, because I do frequently get questions about what's the difference between a learning guide and an instructor guide. So the learning guide is the standard book you would provide to your students, or for yourself if you're doing self-study, and that's going to have the link to the practice exercises in it. A few years ago, we also decided to take that exact same book and create a single resource for instructors to teach from. So we've taken They will have the exact same content the student has in the learning guide, but it's got some resources incorporated into it. So it has answers to the chapter review questions. It has a suggested timing schedule for course delivery, like how long to spend on each section. And then many of the titles, not all of them, but many also have access to instructor presentation files. Now, both the learning guide and the instructor guide are available in either print or ebook format. The print available, or the print versions, you can purchase through the ASCENT. The print and ebook you can purchase through the ASCENT store, and the print versions are also available on Amazon. The only difference is printed books purchased through the ASCENT store have a coil binding. Amazon has a solid, more like a textbook type spine on it. The eBooks are great. They've got a lot of great features, including color content, highlighting, note sharing, and they're really convenient if you've got somebody on the go or you've got last minute enrollments, you don't have time to order a printed book in. They're an excellent option. And then aside from both of those, we also have e-learning bundles. So this is a subscription to a set group of titles for some of the core Autodesk software like AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Inventor, and Revit. And it gives you access to them in our e-learning portal called Productivity Now. So it's got the course material and it's broken down into learning paths to make it a little bit easier to work through online, but it also has some complementary videos to go along with the course information as well. So those are great. And information on all of these formats are available on our website. The product pages on our website that have the course description and things like that, I would encourage you to look at those because there's also descriptions of the instructor guide and the ebook format and other detailed information. So it's a great resource for you to, help address any questions, but you can also obviously reach out to us directly as well. And then I just wanted to quickly go over some services that you may not be aware that we also do offer in addition to our standard courseware. So whether you are delivering training to your internal users or even your own customers, you want to ensure that they're receiving the most effective training possible. So this may mean reorganizing our existing material or creating something new altogether for you to make sure you're really delivering that targeted training. Our team employs tools like instructional animations and interactive tutorials to get your users productive quickly. So it's not just a one type fits all. We can adapt it to your training needs. Outside of that, we also do a wide range of documentation projects, which may or may not be related to CAD training or training at all. So this includes working with companies to document their PLM processes to really enhance the investment that they have made in those systems. If you or your clients have inconsistent documentation across your departments, our technical writers can then reorganize that for your team to use and update as needed. Some examples of things that we have done have been a medical science device manufacturer where we've created an operations manual for the specific device that they in turn can provide to their customers. We've also created online help documentation for a software tool. So you can see there's quite a wide range of projects that we have addressed and tackled over the years from our team. So thanks again for your time today. As I mentioned, there's a lot of great information on the website. There's a lot of ways you can reach out, contact us, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We've got, as Corinne mentioned, this will be recorded, so you will be able to watch the video through our YouTube channel as well. So thank you again for your time today.